Hi everyone, my name is Sasuma and I'm a drag artist from Hyderabad, India, and I welcome you all to the digital version of Drag and Spirituality Summit 2025. I am a trans non binary person and I'm wearing a green color wig with face painted in pale yellow and a lot of flowers on the face with pink in color. I'm also wearing a traditional sari with a blouse which is of pink and black color, and I'm also wearing some really wonderful earrings which are of blue color. I'm super happy and super excited to welcome you all to the Drag and Spirituality Summit 2025. To start with, I think drag is a spiritual medium. I come from a space where drag has been celebrated and performed in multiple arenas, in multiple spaces, which includes temples, community centers, schools, colleges, and public spaces. In India, though the English four-letter word drag came very late, around 2019 or 2014, I guess, but the concept of drag has always been there within its spiritual as well as religious context. But before I dive in and talk about the multiple varieties of Indian drag and its varied history, I'll quickly like to kind of go and tell you about where I started doing drag. At the age of 5, I saw a Telugu language film where a heroine was kind of rejected by the hero, where she screams out loud and dances. And at the age of 5, as a kid, when I was watching this wonderful film, I realized that if you're angry, you have to dance. And from there, my journey of dancing movement started. Since 5 years of age, I used to dress up like a woman and perform in public spaces, a traditional Indian art form which was called as Kuchipudi. And for the rest 10 to 15 years, I was trying to fidget between the idea of what I was on stage and what I was off stage. It was only when I turned 21 years of age, I connected with a queer organization in my county, and I was able to kind of learn and understand the nuances of queerness. And it took me around 21 years of age to finding and coming out as a gender fluid person in an Indian society which I was living. But drag came very late in life, like majorly after 5 years from my coming out journey. And the only reason why I wanted to do drag or re-pursue the idea of drag because my city was not having a drag scene and there was no queer nightlife. I come from a city called as Hyderabad in the southern part of India, and my drag became a space for people to kind of connect, uh, for gay bars or queer bars to kind of open up, and also create a very intimate space for people to kind of come, cherish, and feel the idea of queer joy, which we see it in our society. While this was a journey which I was kind of pursuing, there was another internal journey which I was going through as well. I was born in a very orthodox Telugu family where my father was a priest and practicing Hindu. While I was trying to go ahead learn about the religion, though the religion was very affirming in multiple levels, there were a few things which were connectively dissociating with me. And to find a path, I started believing and started seeking conversations about religion, questioning the ideas of intent which religion kind of preaches or faith kind of preaches, and somewhere or the other way, create a narrative of my own within my own space of religion. And that was when there was a very deep connectivity for me with my spiritual being or with my religion. So it was that time where I started going ahead questioning my religion, my faith, and trying to unlearn and accept my faith in my own way. Once I started doing drag, I thought it's a very good idea to kind of go ahead and imbibe conversations about faith, and especially when I kind of work it's more important to kind of talk about interfaith conversations, because somewhere or the other way, faith has always been dividing not only societies outside of the LGBTQI plus communities, but also within. And especially when faith has been used as a weapon by politicians, by people who are in power, it's really important for having and bringing conversations about faith in a far more better way. And I thought I could be able to go ahead and use the aspect of faith in my drag. And this is not something which is very new. In India, we have been using faith as a very vernacular way with drag, with performance, and it has been the core of any kind of a performance art within the classical as well as the folk, performances of Indian dance or Indian music. So I try to go ahead and just utilize the already existing pedagogies to kind of go ahead and talk about faith while using an English name just to define what exactly I do as an artist. In India, we have seen art forms like Tayyam, like Bhutakula, where a man would dress up as a woman or a deity and perform in temples, and then go ahead and talk about uh, the idea of how they surrender to God. There's a voice of bhakti which has always been kind of showered into multiple Indian classical as well as Indian contemporary art. And this has been just a medium for me to kind of reflect back and cater the idea of interfaith with drag to my queer audience. Last to last year, I also had the opportunity to kind of make it in a very professional way. I was able to connect with an interfaith organization in Hyderabad called as Rubaru. And with them, I went through a program which is called as Interfaith Youth Leadership Program, where I learned about how to start interfaith conversations within our own spaces, how to kind of interact and resolve a conflict when there is an interfaith conflicts which are happening, and how to create a pedagogy of art which can transcend beyond a certain kind of religion or certain kind of an art. And through which I was also able to kind of deliver a social action plan, which was called as Drag Me to Heaven, a space where I would be going ahead and talking with drag artists about their own spiritual or, their own faith journeys. And as and when they kind of go ahead and share those nuances with me and how they reflect their faith into the art form, that made up a conversation about how individuals can navigate, especially artists, but also dialing it down to individual, queer people navigate faith and how they redefine their own faith in their own way so that they can ensure that faith has always been staying with the humanity while going ahead and creating a larger universe of spirituality across. As a part of this podcast series, which is called as Drag Me to Heaven, I was able to connect with 45 different drag artists across the world, coming from India, coming from the rural Arabs of Odisha, coming from Bangladesh and Nepal, coming from UK, Canada, as well as US, and also kind of intersecting multiple identities of faith in itself to kind of come ahead and talk about faith and create archival information on drag artists practicing faith. And it really became a very popular podcast within my own space. And since then, I started going ahead and imbibing spirituality, imbibing interfaith performances across my pedagogies, including when I kind of go ahead and perform. I usually perform sing songs of faith to people and go ahead and bring a conversation about how people can see faith in drag just as any other art form. In the current world where drag is seen as something which is very obscene or something which is very catering to a certain adults, it's really important to kind of realize that drag is a form of art which can be turbulent in its own nature to not only drive awareness but also align our youth, specifically queer youth, to faith ideas so that we can connect as a collective and go ahead and have conversations about how individuals can navigate faith and counter with faith to kind of gain momentum of our existence. In Indian mythology, there were multiple references of drag as well as drag queens, as well as trans and non-binary persons. From references of Brihannala, a character from Mahabharata, where Arjuna dresses up as a woman in an exile to protect their own family for nine, for a month and a half, to kind of go ahead and dress up as a warrior and go back to war and fight and gain the kingdom. To conversations about Aravan, where Krishna marries Aravan and then becomes a widow and weeps for Aravan, as if they are kind of they die because of sacrifice. So I think these are some of the moments which Indian drag has always been written in these scriptures as well as stories. And even when we kind of look into the performance aspect of drag, it has also been something where we see that energy of a certain being kind of coming into our body creates a space for us to self explore and also connect with the idea of divinity, which is called as the Sringara Shastra from the Natya Shastra series. So I think these are references which brings a very strong connectivity for the audience to kind of go ahead, and when they listen these kind of stories from a drag artist, I think the bloodiness of religion versus gender ideologies kind of goes away and creates a platform for me as a drag artist to imbibe and make them aware of the gender minorities and the struggles of gender minorities in a far more better way. And it also brings back the idea of surrenderness, which is individualness for each and every person, irrespective of their gender, caste, color, and race. And that is something which overall sums the idea of spirituality. So, with my work, I have been constantly kind of ensuring to have a conversation about spirituality versus interfaith conversation versus drag. And I think that drag is a powerful supernatural medium which is bestowed to us as an artist to kind of go ahead and use it to challenge the boundaries of what people always have set queerness to. So I hope that I was able to kind of go ahead and give you some ideas and nuances about from the space I'm coming. And I would be more than happy to kind of go ahead and talk about how we as a drag artist can kind of come together. Spaces like this, like Drag Spirituality Summit, is one of the space where queer artists, drag artists, coming ahead and speaking about nuances of navigating religion and navigating spirituality would add up to the conversations, larger conversation of intersectionality, interfaith aspects of the queer community. And I think more and more such avenues need to be opening up so that we as artists can utilize those spaces and propagate a far more different narrative, which the propaganda of the politics is trying to deny. And I think trans people as well as drag artists have always been existing in society, and we are not somebody who have come from a different planet. And conversations like these, conversations of existence, of connectivity with the divinity of faith or spirituality, just enhances to furthermore this gap of misunderstanding and myth which is being spread towards us, and create a more secular as well as inclusive space for the overall community. So that has been my journey, and I will not leave you without giving you a performance. So let me quickly go ahead and get my instruments, and I will give you a quick performance of how I go ahead and talk about faith and spirituality to my community. I hope you would like this as well. Ho 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 ho. Yellow diamonds in the light. We were standing side by side. As the shadow crosses mine, what it takes to come alive is the way you're seeming. I just can't deny, but I thought I'd let it go. We fall love in a hopeless place. 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 रंगी सारी गुलाबी चुनरिया रे मोहे मारे नजरिया सावरिया रे मोहे मारे नजरिया सावरिया रे दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर हो दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दा पहला नंबर ब्रोही मुकुंदेती रसने है ब्रूहि मुकुंदेति रसने पाहि मुकुंदेति रसने ब्रूहि मुकुंदेति केशव माधव गोविंदेति केशव माधव गोविंदेति कृष्णानंद सदानंदेति ब्रूहि मुकुंदेति When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. नारायण ते नमो नमो भवनारद सन्नुत नमो नमो ओ नारायण ते नमो नमो भवनारद सन्नुत नमो नमो ओ नारायण ते नमो 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 नमो. Thank you so much. And that was my time. I hope you would have a very good day with all the other conversations which are kind of coming up. So please tune in. Please join all the other scheduled conversations as a part of Drag and Spirituality Summit. And I hope to see you next year again. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to kind of come ahead and talk about my artistry, talk about the place where I'm coming from, and talk about how exactly the idea of spirituality and the journey of gender and spirituality kind of goes and drag goes back to back. So I'm super happy to be a part of this particular wonderful initiative, and I thank each and everyone who made this possible. I hope we get more such kind of spaces to kind of go ahead and create a safe space to have conversations about gender, artistry, as well as spirituality. And I hope to kind of stay connected. Thank you so much. Signing off, Patruni Shastri.